moments rare, sacred moments when something deep inside you suddenly feels different, and you can't quite explain why. It's not loud. It's not obvious. But it's undeniable. A shift. You wake up, and something feels off, but not in a bad way. Conversations feel different. Your thoughts feel sharper. Even the silence around you carries a strange kind of weight, like something unseen is pressing closer than ever before. You try to ignore it at first. You tell yourself it's just another day, just another feeling. But deep down you know, this is not normal. This is not random. This is movement. He is watching, not from a distance, but from a place of divine authority. And in the voice of Archangel Michael, the message comes through with clarity and power. Something you prayed about, something you cried over, something you nearly gave up on is finally beginning to move. Yes, that thing. The one you whispered about in the dark. The one you asked God about when no one else was listening. The one you stopped talking about because it hurt too much to keep hoping. It's not dead. It's not forgotten. It's not delayed anymore. It's moving. But here is what makes this moment different. And this is where you must lean in closer, because most people miss this part. Whenever heaven releases movement, the spiritual atmosphere responds. Not just with alignment, but with resistance. You see, what's shifting right now isn't just external. It's not just circumstances changing or doors opening. No, something deeper is happening. Something spiritual. Something strategic. Something that was held back is now being released, and that release is creating waves. And you are standing right in the middle of it. He sees you, standing there, trying to make sense of it all. Feeling excitement, but also a strange tension. Feeling hope rising, but also a quiet unease you can't ignore. Unease. A tension. A subtle discomfort in your spirit. It's not fear. It's awareness. Because whenever something you prayed for starts moving, there is always a moment, a very specific moment, where everything becomes critical. Decisions matter more. Discernment matters more. Timing matters more. And most importantly, what you do next matters more than ever before. Archangel Michael's presence is not gentle in this moment. It is firm. It is alert. It is protective. He does not come with soft whispers now. He comes with a warning wrapped in urgency. Do not celebrate too quickly. Do not move too fast. Do not assume everything that opens is meant for you. Because here is the truth most people never realize: not every movement is divine alignment. Some movements are distractions. Some openings are tests. Some opportunities are traps disguised as answers. And right now, yes, right now, as what you prayed for begins to shift, there are forces watching how you respond. Will you what? Will you assume? Will you grab the first sign of movement and call it your breakthrough? Or will you pause, listen, and move with divine precision? He is calling you higher in this moment. Not just into blessing, but into discernment. Because what's coming, what's finally unfolding, carries weight. It carries consequence. It carries the power to either elevate you into your next season or pull you back into a cycle you thought you had already escaped. And this is why this message found you now. Not yesterday. Not later. Now. Because the shift has already begun. You may not see it fully yet, you may not understand all the details, but in the spirit, things are moving. Paths are forming. Doors are unlocking. Conversations are aligning. And something that once felt impossible is quietly stepping into possibility. But you must stay alert. You must stay grounded. You must stay spiritually awake. Because this is not just the answer to your prayer, this is the moment that determines what you do with it. And he stands watch, sword drawn, eyes focused, guarding your path, not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because what's coming next will require more than faith. It will require awareness. It will require discipline. It will require you to trust what you feel in your spirit even when everything around you looks convincing. So listen closely, the shift has begun. And this time you cannot afford to miss what comes with it. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1717 is now activated around your path. There was a time, and you remember it clearly, when you thought it was over. When the silence stretched too long. When the answers didn't come. When the doors you knocked on refused to open, no matter how hard you prayed, no matter how sincere your faith was. You questioned everything in that season. You questioned your timing, your worth, even your connection to the divine. And in those quiet, heavy moments, it felt like what you asked for had been dismissed or worse, denied. But he watches now, and his voice carries a different truth, a truth that cuts through every lie you believed in that waiting season. In the authority of Archangel Michael, the message is clear. You were never being denied, you were being prepared. What felt like rejection was actually protection. What looked like delay was actually design. What seemed like silence was actually strategy. Because there were things you could not see then. Things happening beyond your understanding, beyond your control, beyond your timing. The version of you who first prayed that prayer was not yet ready to carry the weight of the answer. You had the desire, yes. You had the faith, yes. But you did not yet have the alignment. And alignment is everything. He reveals this now with precision. If what is moving toward you today had come to you back then, it would have crushed you, confused you, or slipped through your hands because you would not have recognized its value. You would have rushed it. You would have mishandled it. You would have allowed the wrong people into it. And what was meant to elevate you could have easily become something that broke you. So heaven did not say no. Heaven said not yet. And in that not yet, something sacred was happening inside you. You were being reshaped in ways you didn't notice at first. Your patience was being stretched. Your discernment was being sharpened. Your emotional attachments were being tested. Even your faith, yes, your faith, was being refined not to weaken you but to anchor you deeper. You thought you were waiting on the blessing, but the truth is the blessing was waiting on you, waiting for you to grow into it, waiting for you to outgrow certain mindsets, waiting for you to release what could not follow you into the next season. And now, as things begin to move, you must understand this. The timing is not random. It is exact. It is intentional. It is divinely calculated down to the smallest detail. Every delay had a purpose. Every closed door had a reason. Every moment you felt overlooked was actually a moment you were being preserved. He sees the frustration you carry. He knows the nights you wondered if you were being ignored. But now, in this moment, clarity is breaking through. The same prayer you thought had been forgotten was being positioned behind the scenes this entire time. But here is where your awareness must deepen, because this revelation carries responsibility. Just because something is moving now does not mean you can move carelessly. This is where many fall. They step into answered prayers with the same mindset they had when they first asked for them. They forget the lessons of the waiting season. They forget the discipline, the growth, the awareness that was built in the silence. And in doing so, they repeat cycles they were meant to break. Archangel Michael's presence intensifies here, not to intimidate you, but to anchor you. He reminds you that this movement you are seeing now is not just a reward. It is a test of who you have become. Have you truly changed? Have you truly learned? Have you truly aligned? Because what is coming requires a different version of you, a more grounded, more discerning, more spiritually aware version. The waiting season was not empty. It was training. It was preparation for this exact moment. And now, the question is no longer, why was it delayed? The question is, are you ready to handle what is being released? Because readiness is not about excitement. It is about stability. It is about clarity. It is about knowing when to move and when to pause, when to accept and when to walk away, when to trust and when to question. This is the level you are being called into now. Not just receiving but stewarding. Not just celebrating but discerning. And as this truth settles into your spirit, something else becomes clear. A delay was not punishment. It was mercy. It kept you from stepping into something before its time. It shielded you from outcomes that would have set you back. It aligned people, circumstances, and timing in ways you could never have orchestrated on your own. So do not resent the waiting season anymore. Under it. Because everything you endured in that silence is now part of your strength in this movement. And what is unfolding next will require every bit of that strength. The delay is over. But the responsibility has just begun. Type "I trust the timing" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2222 is now activated around your journey. Something is happening that your physical eyes cannot fully grasp yet, but your spirit has already begun to recognize it. You feel it in the subtle shifts, in the way certain things are no longer as heavy as they used to be, in the way new thoughts are entering your mind, ideas that feel unfamiliar but strangely aligned, in the way certain doors that were once tightly shut are now slightly open. This is not coincidence. This is movement in the spirit realm. He stands watching, and his voice carries the weight of revelation as Archangel Michael speaks with authority. What you see on the surface is only the echo of what has already begun in the unseen. Because before anything manifests in your life, it first shifts in the spiritual realm. Long before the conversation happens, it is already forming. Long before the opportunity appears, it is already being arranged. Long before the breakthrough becomes visible, it is already set in motion. And right now, there is activity surrounding your name. Yes, your name. There are movements happening that you cannot trace, alignments being orchestrated without your involvement, and decisions being influenced in rooms you have never entered. What once felt stuck is now being loosened. What once resisted you is now beginning to yield. What once seemed impossible is now quietly becoming possible. But understand this clearly. This movement is not passive. It is active. It is intentional. And it is being contested. Because whenever something begins to shift in your favor, resistance does not disappear, it intensifies. There are forces that do not want this movement to reach completion. There are patterns that recognize they are about to be broken. There are cycles that feel themselves losing control over you. And so, as heaven moves things into place, opposition rises to interrupt, to confuse, to delay. That is why you may feel both peace and pressure at the same time. Peace because alignment is happening. Pressure because resistance is reacting. And if you are not spiritually aware in this moment, you may misinterpret what you are feeling. You may think something is wrong when in reality something is finally going right. Archangel Michael reveals this with clarity. Do not mistake resistance for rejection. Resistance often appears when something significant is about to be released. This is where discernment becomes critical. Because not all movement will feel smooth. Some of it will feel uncomfortable. Some of it will challenge your expectations. Some of it will require you to move in ways that do not make immediate sense. But that does not mean it is not aligned. In fact, some of the most important shifts happening right now are happening beneath the surface, within you. Your perspective is changing. Your tolerance for certain things is shifting. Your awareness is increasing. You are noticing things you used to ignore. You are questioning things you once accepted. This is not random growth. This is preparation catching up with movement. Because as things begin to align externally, you must also be aligned internally. Otherwise, you will step into something new with an old mindset, and what was meant to elevate you will feel overwhelming instead. He watches closely because this is the moment where many lose their footing. They sense movement, but they do not understand it. They feel change, but they do not interpret it correctly. And instead of leaning into discernment, they react impulsively. Do not rush this. Do not force clarity before it is revealed. Do not assume you understand everything that is happening just because you feel the shift. Because what is unfolding is layered. There are pieces still being arranged. There are factors still aligning. There are outcomes still being determined based on how you respond in this moment. Your awareness is not just for understanding, it is for participation. You are not just witnessing this movement. You are part of it, and your choices now carry weight. Your response to this unseen activity will either support the alignment or disrupt it. This is why your attention matters. This is why your energy matters. This is why your discernment matters. Because while heaven is moving things into place, you must also position yourself correctly. You cannot afford to be distracted by surface-level noise when something deeper is unfolding beneath it. You cannot afford to respond emotionally when the situation requires spiritual awareness. There is more happening than you can currently see. But soon, very soon, what has been moving in silence will begin to show itself. And when it does, you must be ready to recognize it, not just as an opportunity, but as a responsibility. Because movement in the spirit always leads to manifestation in reality. And what is approaching is closer than you think. Type "I see the shift" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3333 is now activated around your alignment. As this movement begins to unfold, understand this: every word reaching your spirit right now is not just for you. It is meant to become light for someone else still walking in confusion. When you choose to support this message through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform, you are sowing into a harvest of awakened souls. The word declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you," and in this moment, that promise is alive, breathing over your life. I feel led to say this clearly. As you act in obedience and release your seed, heaven responds with multiplication, not addition. This is your moment to align your action with what your spirit feels. Do not hesitate. Step forward and sow into this mission, because what flows through your hands will return to your life as overflow. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything becomes serious. Up until this point, you have felt the shift. You have recognized the movement. You have begun to understand that something you prayed about is finally aligning. But this moment right here is where many people lose what was meant for them. Not because it wasn't real, not because it wasn't meant for them, but because they ignored the warning that came with it. He stands firm now, his presence unwavering, and the voice of Archangel Michael cuts through every assumption you may have formed. Do not assume that everything presenting itself as your answer is truly aligned with your destiny. This is the part no one talks about. When prayers begin to manifest, they do not always arrive in pure, obvious form. Sometimes they come mixed with distraction. Sometimes they come wrapped in familiarity. Sometimes they come disguised in something that looks right, feels right, even seems convenient, but is not divinely assigned. And if you are not alert in this moment, you will accept what is available instead of what is aligned. That is the danger. Because right now, doors are opening. Opportunities are appearing. Conversations are beginning. People are re-entering your space. Situations that once felt distant are suddenly within reach. And it all feels like confirmation. But not all confirmation is truth. Some of it is testing your discernment. Some of it is measuring your growth. Some of it is asking one question: have you truly learned what the waiting season was trying to teach you? Because if you haven't, you will repeat what you were meant to escape. This is why the warning is urgent. There are things approaching you right now that carry the appearance of your answered prayer but lack the foundation to sustain it. They may look like progress, but they are actually distractions. They may feel like alignment, but they are actually misdirection. And the only way you will recognize the difference is through stillness. Not excitement, not urgency, not pressure. Stillness. Because in stillness, clarity speaks. In stillness, your spirit separates truth from illusion. In stillness, what is real will remain steady and what is false will begin to reveal its instability. But if you rush, if you move too quickly, if you grab at the first sign of movement, you will bypass discernment completely. And that is exactly what opposition is hoping for. Archangel Michael reveals this clearly. There are forces that will present options to you quickly, hoping you choose before you have time to discern. At urgency you may feel, at pressure to decide immediately, at sense that you might miss out if you don't act now. That is not divine timing. That is manipulation. Because what is truly meant for you does not require panic to receive it. It does not demand rushed decisions. It does not create confusion. It does not rely on fear to push you forward. What is aligned with you will remain available long enough for you to recognize it with clarity. This is how you know the difference. And yet, the challenge is this: not everything that is misaligned will look wrong. In fact, some of it will look almost perfect. That is what makes it dangerous. It will match parts of your prayer, but not all of it. It will satisfy your desire, but not your purpose. It will give you something, but not what was fully intended for you. And if you accept it, you will feel it later. Not immediately, but eventually. You will feel the weight of misalignment. You will feel the subtle discomfort that tells you something is not quite right. You will feel the strain of trying to force something to work that was never designed for you. And by then it becomes harder to step away. This is why the warning is coming now, before the full manifestation, before the final decision, before you lock yourself into something that only looks like the answer. He is not trying to confuse you. He is trying to protect you. Because what is truly meant for you is still coming, fully, clearly, completely. And it will not require you to compromise your peace, your clarity, or your growth to receive it. But you must be willing to wait a little longer if necessary. You must be willing to say no to what looks good so you can receive what is right. You must be willing to trust your discernment over your impatience. This is the level you are being called into now. Not just receiving blessings, but recognizing them. Not just stepping forward, but stepping correctly. And as you stand in this moment, with movement all around you and options beginning to appear, remember this: not everything that opens is yours. Not everything that feels right is aligned. And not everything that arrives quickly is meant to stay. So slow down. Listen deeply. And let clarity lead you, not urgency. Because what is truly yours cannot be taken by waiting a little longer. Type "I choose discernment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 4444 is now activated around your decisions. Now understand this, because this is where the journey becomes deeper than most people are willing to go. You are not just stepping into a blessing. You are stepping into a test. And not a test of whether you can receive, but a test of whether you can handle what you receive. You watch as closely in this moment, and the voice of Archangel Michael carries a sharp clarity. Every answered prayer carries a hidden test, and only those who remain aware will pass through it without losing what was given. This is the part many never see coming. They pray for the opportunity. They pray for the relationship. They pray for the breakthrough. And when it finally arrives, they celebrate. But they do not examine it. They receive, but they do not discern. And because of that, they step into something sacred with an unprepared mindset. You must not do the same. Because what is approaching you now is not just a reward for your patience, it is a mirror reflecting who you have become. It is going to reveal whether you truly grew in the waiting season, or if you simply endured it. And this test will not be obvious. It will not announce itself. It will not feel like a challenge at first. In fact, it will feel like relief. Relief that something is finally happening. Relief that things are moving forward. Relief that what you asked for is now within reach. And in that relief, your guard will naturally want to come down. That is where the test begins. Because the moment you feel comfortable, the moment you feel like you can relax completely, that is the exact moment you must remain aware. Archangel Michael reveals this truth with precision. The blessing will invite you in, but the test will observe how you behave once you are inside. How do you respond when things begin to go your way? Do you remain grounded, or do you become careless? Do you stay aligned, or do you drift back into old habits? Do you maintain your discernment, or do you begin to assume everything will work out simply because it started well? This is the test. Because many people lose their blessings not in the waiting but in the receiving. They prayed with discipline, but they lived the blessing without it. They were careful when nothing was happening, but they become impulsive when things finally move. And in doing so, they open doors they should have kept closed. They allow people in who were never meant to have access. They make decisions based on excitement instead of clarity. And slowly, subtly, the blessing begins to lose its strength. Not because it wasn't real, but because it wasn't handled with awareness. This is why you must stay present now. You must stay connected to the same level of spiritual awareness that carried you through the waiting season. You cannot afford to lower your standards just because things feel easier. You cannot afford to ignore your intuition just because something looks like what you asked for. Because the test will come in small moments. In the conversations you choose to engage in. In the decisions you make without thinking. In the people you trust too quickly. In the opportunities you accept without full clarity. And each of those moments will either strengthen what is being built or weaken it. He stands firm, reminding you that this is not about fear, it is about awareness. You are not being set up to fail. You are being given the opportunity to prove that you are ready for what you asked for. Because readiness is non-declared. It is demonstrated. And it is demonstrated through consistency. Can you remain disciplined when things become easier? Can you remain patient when things start moving faster? Can you remain grounded when everything around you feels like it is finally aligning? This is what will determine whether the blessing becomes stable or temporary. Because what is coming into your life now has the potential to last. But only if it is handled correctly. Only if it is protected. Only if it is nurtured with awareness. You are not the same person you were when you first prayed that prayer. You have grown. You have learned. You have endured. And now, you are being given the chance to apply everything you gained in the waiting season. This is your moment to show that you are not just ready to receive but ready to sustain. And that requires a different level of focus, a different level of discipline, a different level of awareness. So do not just celebrate what is coming. Respect it. Protect it. Move carefully within it. Because the blessing is real, but so is the test that comes with it. And how you move now will determine everything that comes next. Type "I am ready to handle IT" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 5555 is now activated around your path. Now this is where the pressure becomes real and you must pay close attention. Because just as things begin to move, just as clarity begins to form, just as your prayer starts to manifest, distractions will appear. Not randomly, not accidentally, but strategically. He stands watch with unwavering focus, and the voice of Archangel Michael comes through with urgency. When breakthrough approaches, distraction is assigned. This is not something to take lightly, because distractions do not always look like problems. In fact, the most dangerous distractions will look harmless. They will look like opportunities. They will look like conversations. They will look like people reconnecting. They will look like emotions rising that feel justified. And if you are not aware, you will give your time, your energy, and your focus to things that slowly pull you out of alignment right at the moment when alignment matters most. This is how derailment happens. Not through one major mistake, but through a series of small, unnoticed shifts. You start giving attention where it is not required. You start entertaining thoughts that do not serve you. You start responding to situations that do not deserve your energy. And little by little your focus begins to scatter. Archangel Michael reveals this clearly. The enemy does not need to stop your blessing if he can simply distract you from it. That is the strategy. Because if your attention is divided, your discernment weakens. If your energy is drained, your clarity fades. If your focus is pulled in too many directions, you lose sight of what truly matters. And right now your focus is everything. This is why certain things may be happening around you all at once. Unexpected messages, sudden emotional triggers, old situations resurfacing, people from your past reappearing without explanation. It may feel like coincidence, but it is not. It is timing. Because these distractions are not trying to destroy you, they are trying to delay you. They are trying to occupy your mind long enough for you to miss the subtle movements happening in your favor. They are trying to keep you engaged in what no longer aligns, so you do not fully step into what does. And the danger is some of these distractions will feel important. They will feel urgent. They will demand your attention. But not everything that demands your attention deserves your response. This is where your discipline must rise. You must begin to ask yourself, in every moment, is this aligned or is this a distraction? Because the answer to that question will determine how you move forward. And here is the truth you must accept. Not everything needs your involvement. Not every message requires a reply. Not every situation requires your energy. Not every emotion requires your reaction. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is remain still. To observe without engaging. To recognize without reacting. To stay focused while everything around you tries to pull you away. He watches closely because this is where many people lose momentum. They become so consumed by what is happening around them that they forget what is happening for them. They get pulled into unnecessary conversations. They get caught in emotional cycles they already outgrew. They allow temporary distractions to interfere with permanent progress. And before they realize it, the clarity they once had begins to fade. You cannot allow that to happen. Because what is approaching you requires your full attention. It requires your awareness to be sharp. It requires your energy to be protected. It requires your focus to remain steady. And that means you will have to make choices. You will have to step back from certain things. You will have to ignore what once pulled you in. You will have to create distance where necessary. Not out of fear, but out of discipline. Because you are no longer in a season where you can afford to entertain everything. You are in a season where you must be selective. Selective with your time. Selective with your energy. Selective with your focus. This is how you protect what is coming. Because distractions only have power when you give them access. And right now access must be controlled. You must guard your attention like it matters. Because it does. You must protect your energy like it is valuable, because it is. You must stay focused like everything depends on it, because in this moment it does. The movement has already begun. The alignment is already forming. But distractions are waiting, watching, looking for an opening. Do not give them one. Stay centered. Stay aware. Stay disciplined. Because what is meant for you is closer than ever, and this is not the moment to lose sight of it. Type "I stay focused" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6666 is now activated around your mind and attention. Now everything narrows down to this one thing, and this one thing alone will determine whether you step fully into what is being prepared for you or drift away from it without even realizing. The voice you choose to follow. Because right now, there are many voices around you. External voices. Internal voices. Old voices from your past. New voices that seem convincing. And even your own thoughts, trying to make sense of everything that is happening. But not all voices carry truth. And not all guidance leads to alignment. He stands firm in this moment. And the voice of Archangel Michael comes with unmistakable authority in times of movement. The loudest voice is not always the right one. This is where your discernment must become sharper than ever before. Because as things begin to shift, as opportunities appear, as decisions present themselves, you will be tempted to listen to what is easiest, what is fastest, what feels most familiar. But what is familiar is not always what is aligned. You must understand this clearly. Your past has a voice. It speaks through habits. It speaks through patterns. It speaks through emotional reactions you have carried for years. And when you are faced with new movement, your past will try to guide you using old logic. It will tell you to move quickly because that is what you used to do. It will tell you to trust too soon because that is what you have always done. It will tell you to avoid discomfort because that is what kept you safe before. But that voice cannot lead you into your next season. Because your next season requires a different version of you. A quieter version. A more aware version. A more discerning version. And that version does not react impulsively. That version listens deeply. Archangel Michael reveals this truth with clarity. The voice of alignment will not rush you. It will not confuse you. It will not pressure you. It will guide you with quiet certainty. That is how you will recognize it. Not through noise. Not through urgency. But through stillness. Because the voice you must follow now is not the one that demands your attention, it is the one that requires your awareness. It is subtle. It is steady. It is consistent. And it speaks in a way that you cannot ignore once you truly listen. You have felt it before. That quiet knowing. That inner pause that tells you to wait. That subtle feeling that something is not right, even when everything looks good. That calm clarity that guides you towards something, even when you do not fully understand why. That is the voice you must trust. But here is the challenge. It does not always match what others are saying. There may be people around you offering advice. There may be opinions that sound logical, suggestions that seem reasonable, perspectives that appear helpful. But not all guidance is meant for you. Some people will speak from their own limitations. Some will speak from their own fears. Some will speak from what they would do, not what you are meant to do. And if you listen to them without discernment, you will find yourself moving in a direction that feels right to others but not aligned with you. This is why you must become selective with what you allow into your mind. Not every opinion deserves your consideration. Not every voice deserves your attention. Because right now clarity is more important than validation. You do not need everyone to understand your decisions. You do not need approval to move correctly. You do not need reassurance from others if your spirit is already clear. This is the level you are stepping into. A level where you trust what you feel even when it cannot be explained. A level where you follow inner clarity even when it goes against external expectations. A level where you move with quiet confidence instead of loud uncertainty. You watch as closely because this is where many people lose alignment. They begin to second-guess themselves. They begin to seek too many opinions. They begin to override their own intuition just to feel secure. And in doing so they disconnect from the very guidance that was meant to lead them. You cannot afford to do that now. Because what is unfolding requires precision. It requires you to move at the right time in the right way for the right reasons. And that can only happen if you are listening to the right voice. So slow down. Create space for clarity. Allow silence to guide you. Because the voice you must follow is already speaking. Not loudly but clearly. Not urgently but steadily. And if you trust it, it will lead you exactly where you are meant to be. Type "I trust the inner voice" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7777 is now activated around your discernment. Now this is the part that many try to avoid, but it cannot be skipped. Because before elevation becomes stable, separation becomes necessary. You may have already started to feel it. A distance forming where there used to be closeness. A shift in conversations that no longer feel the same. An inner resistance toward environments you once tolerated. A quiet knowing that something, or someone, cannot come with you into what is next. This is not confusion. This is not disconnection. This is separation. He stands with unwavering authority, and the voice of Archangel Michael comes with clarity that cannot be ignored. What cannot align with your next level will begin to separate from you, whether you initiate it or not. This is how elevation begins. Not with gain but with release. Because you cannot carry everything forward. Not every relationship. Not every habit. Not every mindset. Not every version of yourself. And the difficulty is this: some of what must be released will not look harmful. It will look familiar. It will look comfortable. It may even look supportive on the surface. But deep within it does not align with where you are being taken. And your spirit knows it. That subtle discomfort you feel around certain people, that hesitation before engaging in certain conversations, that quiet pull away from things you used to entertain. That is not you changing randomly. That is alignment creating separation. Because what once fit you no longer fits you. And if you ignore this shift, if you force yourself to stay connected to what no longer aligns, you will feel it. You will feel drained. You will feel conflicted. You will feel pulled between who you are becoming and what you are trying to hold on to. This is the tension of misalignment. Archangel Michael reveals this with precision. Elevation requires space. And space is created through separation. You cannot step fully into what is coming if your energy is still tied to what you have outgrown. You cannot receive clearly if your environment is filled with noise. You cannot move forward freely if something is constantly pulling you backward. This is why separation is not loss. It is preparation. It is makiwu. It is clearing the path so that what is truly aligned can enter without obstruction. But here is where it becomes difficult, because separation is not always loud. It is not always a dramatic ending. It is not always a clear confrontation. Sometimes it is quiet, a gradual distance, a natural fading, a shift that happens without explanation. And that quietness can make you question it. You may wonder if you are overthinking. You may feel tempted to reconnect just to avoid discomfort. You may try to hold on to what is already loosening its grip. But you must not interfere with what is naturally separating, because what is meant to stay will remain without force, and what is meant to leave will require effort to hold on to. That is how you will know. He watches closely because this is where many delay their own elevation. They cling to familiarity instead of trusting alignment. They choose comfort over clarity. They resist the separation because it feels like loss when in reality, it is making space for something greater. You must trust this process, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels uncertain, even when it requires you to stand alone for a moment, because that space, that quiet, that distance is where clarity strengthens. It is where your awareness sharpens. It is where your connection to the right path becomes stronger. And soon, that space will not feel empty. It will begin to fill with the right connections, with the right opportunities, with the right alignment. But it can only fill correctly if it is cleared properly first. So do not rush to replace what is leaving. Do not chase what is creating distance. Do not question what your spirit already recognizes. Let it sever. Let it fall away. Let it create the space that is needed for your elevation. Because what is coming next requires room. And you are being positioned not just to receive but to rise. Type "I release what no longer serves me" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8888 is now activated around your elevation. As you step into this sacred separation, understand that every seed you sow becomes a doorway for another soul to awaken from confusion into clarity. This is not about supporting a channel. This is about fueling a divine mission that carries light into places where darkness has lingered too long. The word speaks, "Those who sow in faith shall reap in abundance." And right now, that promise is speaking directly over you. I feel this strongly. When you act in this moment, when you give through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, you are aligning yourself with a flow of divine multiplication. This is your first step of obedience, your declaration that you are part of something greater than yourself. Do not delay. Step into this moment and release your seed, because what you give now will return to you in ways you cannot yet see. Now this is the moment where everything intensifies, and if you are not aware, you may misinterpret what is happening around you. Because just before breakthrough becomes visible, resistance becomes aggressive. Not subtle, not quiet, but intentional. He stands in full authority now, and the voice of Archangel Michael comes with unmistakable force. When you are closest to what was promised, opposition makes its final attempt to pull you away. This is not coincidence. This is confirmation. Because what you are experiencing now, the sudden tension, the unexpected obstacles, the emotional pressure that seems to rise out of nowhere, is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is about to go right. But the challenge is this: it will not feel that way. It may feel like things are falling apart. It may feel like confusion is increasing. It may feel like progress is slowing down just when you expected it to speed up. And in that moment, your mind will try to interpret it as failure, but your spirit must recognize it as resistance. because resistance only shows up when there is something to resist. Archangel Michael reveals this truth with precision. The enemy does not fight what is not a threat, and you have become a threat by aligning with what is meant for you. That is why this moment feels heavier. That is why distractions increased. That is why certain people reacted unexpectedly. That is why internal doubt may try to rise, even after clarity has already been given. This is the final attempt, not to destroy you but to destabilize you. Because if your focus can be shaken, your decisions can be altered. If your confidence can be weakened, your direction can be changed. If your emotions can be triggered, your clarity can be clouded. And that is all it takes to delay what is already in motion. But here is what you must understand. This attempt is limited. It does not have the power to stop what is meant for you. It only has the power to influence how you respond. And your response is everything. Because in this moment, you will feel the urge to react, to defend yourself, to engage with what is rising around you, to fix things that suddenly seem unstable. But not everything requires your reaction. Some things are being revealed so you can recognize them, not so you can engage with them. This is where discipline becomes critical again. You must stay grounded. You must stay centered. You must stay connected to the clarity you already received even when everything around you tries to challenge it. Because this is not the time to second guess. This is not the time to retreat. This is not the time to abandon what you know is aligned. This is the time to stand firm. Archangel Michael's presence strengthens here, not as a warning alone, but as a reassurance. You are not being attacked because you are weak. You are being challenged because you are close. Close to what you asked for. Close to what was prepared for you. Close to stepping fully into what has been forming behind the scenes. And because of that closeness, the pressure increases. But pressure does not mean collapse. Pressure reveals strength. It reveals whether you can remain steady when things feel uncertain. It reveals whether you can trust what you know even when what you see tries to contradict it. It reveals whether you can hold your position instead of reacting to every shift around you. This is your moment to prove that. To show that you are not easily shaken. To show that your awareness is stronger than your emotions. To show that your alignment is not dependent on circumstances. Because what is coming next requires stability. It requires you to remain focused even when everything tries to distract you. It requires you to remain calm even when everything feels intense. It requires you to remain clear even when everything seems uncertain. And this final attempt is testing that. But here is the truth that must anchor you. It will pass. This moment of resistance is temporary. This pressure is not permanent. This attempt is not sustainable. Because what is aligned with you carries more power than what is trying to oppose it. And as long as you do not give your energy to what is trying to disrupt you, it cannot hold its position. So do not engage unnecessarily. Do not react impulsively. Do not allow temporary pressure to alter permanent direction. Stay still. Stay aware. Stay anchored in what you already know. Because the closer you get, the more intense it may feel. But that intensity is not a warning to stop. It is a confirmation to continue. Type "I stand firm" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9999 is now activated around your strength and stability. Now everything comes down to alignment. Not just the movement happening around you, but how you position yourself within it. Because the truth is this: the breakthrough is not just about what arrives in your life. It is about who you are when it arrives. He stands with steady authority, and the voice of Archangel Michael speaks with precision. What is coming toward you must find you in alignment, or it will pass through your life without taking root. This is the part many overlook. They focus on the outcome. They focus on the opportunity. They focus on what they are about to receive. But they do not focus on themselves. They do not ask, am I positioned correctly to sustain what is coming? Because alignment is not automatic. It is intentional. It is the result of choices, awareness, and discipline. And right now, as everything begins to come together, you must also come into alignment with it. This means your mindset must match the level you are stepping into. You cannot carry doubt into something that requires confidence. You cannot carry hesitation into something that requires decisiveness. You cannot carry old patterns into something that requires new behavior. Because what is coming will respond to who you are now, not who you used to be. Archangel Michael reveals this clearly. Your breakthrough will meet the version of you that shows up. Make sure it meets the right one. This is your responsibility. To show up ready. To show up clear. To show up grounded. And that requires internal alignment first. You must take a moment to examine yourself honestly. Are your thoughts aligned with what you are asking for? Or are you still expecting things to go wrong? Are your actions aligned with where you are going? Or are you still moving in ways that belong to your past? Are your boundaries aligned with your value? Or are you still allowing access where it should be limited? These questions matter now more than ever. Because misalignment does not always block a breakthrough, but it can distort it. It can turn something powerful into something unstable. It can take something meant to elevate you and make it feel overwhelming instead. That is why you must stabilize yourself first. You watch as closely, because this is where transformation becomes real. Not in what you receive, but in how you carry it. You must become steady. Steady in your thinking. Steady in your emotions. Steady in your decisions. Because stability allows growth. And without stability, even the greatest opportunity can collapse under pressure. This is why your environment also matters. You must begin to place yourself in spaces that support your alignment. Spaces that encourage clarity. Spaces that allow focus. Spaces that do not pull you back into old cycles. Because your environment will either strengthen your alignment or weaken it. And right now, you cannot afford to weaken. This is not the time to revisit what you have already outgrown. This is not the time to entertain what no longer serves you. This is the time to fully commit to where you are going. Archangel Michael emphasizes this with certainty. Alignment requires consistency. It is not something you step into once. It is something you maintain. That means you must remain aware even after things begin to unfold. You must continue to choose clarity even when things feel easier. You must continue to protect your focus even when distractions seem less intense. Because alignment is not a one-time decision. It is a continuous state. And the more consistent you are, the more stable your breakthrough becomes. This is where your discipline strengthens. This is where your awareness deepens. This is where you move from simply receiving to sustaining. Because sustaining requires effort. It requires intention. It requires you to stay connected to what got you here in the first place. Your patience, your awareness, your discernment. These are not temporary tools. They are permanent foundations. And as you stand at the edge of what is about to unfold, understand this clearly. You are not waiting anymore. You are positioning. You are not hoping anymore. You are aligning. You are not searching anymore. You are preparing to receive. And how you align yourself in this moment will determine how smoothly everything unfolds next. So take this seriously. Adjust where needed. Refine where necessary. Strengthen where required. Because the breakthrough is not just coming, it is arriving with expectation. And you must meet it in the right position. Type "I am in alignment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now activated around your path and purpose. Now this is the part that must be spoken with clarity because it carries weight. Not fear but truth. Because everything you have heard up to this point, the movement, the alignment, the preparation, the warning, it all leads to this question: what happens if you ignore it? E stands firm, unwavering, and the voice of Archangel Michael comes with a seriousness that cannot be softened. When a warning is given and ignored, the consequence is not punishment, it is misalignment unfolding. You must understand this clearly. Nothing is being taken from you. Nothing is being blocked out of spite. But if you move without awareness, if you ignore what your spirit is trying to show you, you will step into situations that were never meant to hold you. And slowly, subtly, things will begin to feel off. Not immediately. At first, everything may seem fine. The opportunity will look right. The connection will feel comfortable. The decision will seem justified. But over time, the misalignment will reveal itself. You will begin to feel tension where there should be peace. You will begin to feel confusion where there should be clarity. You will begin to feel resistance where there should be flow. And you will not understand why. Because on the surface everything will appear to match what you prayed for. But beneath the surface something will not sit right. It is the result of ignoring the warning. Not failure but friction. Not loss but instability. Archangel Michael reveals this truth with precision. Misalignment does not always break things immediately. It weakens them slowly. And that is what makes it dangerous. Because you may stay longer than you should. You may try to fix what was never meant to work. You may invest your energy into something that cannot sustain you. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to step away. This is how cycles repeat. Not because you are unaware, but because you chose to ignore what you already felt. You knew something was not right, but you moved anyway. You sensed hesitation, but you overrode it. You felt the need to pause, but you rushed forward. And now you are dealing with the result of that decision. This is why the warning is not optional. It is necessary. Because what is being presented to you right now carries weight. It carries impact. It carries the potential to either move you forward or pull you back into something you already outgrew. And the difference will not be obvious in the beginning. It will be revealed over time. You watch as closely, because this is where awareness must turn into action. It is not enough to recognize the warning, you must respond to it. You must slow down when needed. You must question what feels unclear. You must walk away from what does not fully align, even if it looks appealing. Because ignoring the warning does not stop the movement. It simply redirects it. Instead of stepping into something aligned, you step into something similar but not stable. Instead of receiving what was prepared, you settle for what is available. And that is not what you have been waiting for. That is not what you have been prepared for. That is not what you have endured for. You did not go through everything you went through just to repeat a pattern at the moment of breakthrough. You did not learn all those lessons just to ignore them when they matter most. This is your moment to apply what you know, to trust what you feel, to act with awareness, not impulse. Because the truth is this: the warning is not here to limit you. It is here to protect you from unnecessary detours. It is here to guide you toward what is fully aligned, not partially aligned. It is here to ensure that when you step forward, you step correctly. And if you honor it, everything becomes clearer. Decisions become easier. Paths become more defined. Opportunities reveal their true nature. But if you ignore it, you will have to learn through experience what you could have avoided through awareness. And that path is always harder. So listen carefully now. Do not rush. Do not assume. Do not move without clarity. Because what is at stake is not just this moment, it is what comes after it. And you must choose wisely. Type "I choose wisdom" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1111 is now activated around your decisions and direction. This is it. This is the moment everything has been leading to. Not the beginning, but the decision point. Because now you know. You have felt the shift. You have understood the delay. You have recognized the movement. You have heard the warning. You have seen the test. You have identified the distractions. You have sensed the separation. You have endured the resistance. You have aligned yourself with what is coming. And now there is only one thing left to do. Step into it. He stands in full authority now, and the voice of Archangel Michael carries a final clarity that leaves no room for hesitation. You have been prepared long enough. You have been warned clearly. Now you must move with certainty. Because this is not the time to hesitate anymore. Not the time to question what you already feel. Not the time to delay what you already understand. Not the time to shrink back into what you have outgrown. This is the time to act. But not with impulse. With awareness. With precision. With full trust in what has been revealed to you. Because the opportunity in front of you is real. The movement is real. The alignment is real. The breakthrough is real. But it will not force you to step into it. You must choose it. And that choice will not be loud. It will not be dramatic. It will be quiet, intentional, deliberate. It will look like you saying no when something feels off. It will look like you waiting when everything tells you to rush. It will look like you walking away from what no longer aligns even when it feels familiar. It will look like you trusting your inner clarity even when no one else understands it. That is how you step into it. Not by chasing, but by choosing correctly. Archangel Michael reveals this final truth. Your breakthrough is not just given. It is entered through awareness. And that is what separates this moment from every other time before. You are not the same. You are not moving blindly. You are not hoping without understanding. You are aware now. You see the patterns. You recognize the signs. You understand the timing. And because of that, you are capable of moving differently. This is your elevation. Not just in what you receive, but in how you respond. Because what is coming next will not just change your situation. It will change your direction. It will set a new standard. It will establish a new level of clarity, stability, and growth. But only if you step into it correctly. You watch as closely, not to judge you but to witness your decision. Will you move with awareness? Will you trust what you feel? Will you honor what you have learned? Or will you fall back into what is easy, what is familiar, what requires no effort? This is your final test, not of word but of readiness. Because readiness is proven in action. And this is your moment to prove it. So take a breath. Center yourself. And step forward, not quickly but correctly. Because everything you have been waiting for is no longer just approaching. It is here. And you are standing at the threshold. Do not miss it. Do not rush it. Do not mishandle it. Step into it with clarity. Step into it with discipline. Step into it with full awareness of what it requires. Because this is not just another opportunity. This is the answer you prayed for. And now it is yours to enter. Type "I step into my breakthrough" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1212 is now activated around your destiny. As you stand at this threshold, understand this sacred truth: your obedience in this moment is not just transforming your life, It is opening doors for countless others still waiting in darkness for clarity. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks with a PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen, you are not giving to a message. You are igniting a fire that reaches souls God is calling back to alignment. The word speaks. Those who bring light will shine like the stars forever. And this is your moment to become part of that divine flow. I hear it clearly. This is not a casual action. This is a prophetic response. As you release your seed, heaven responds with acceleration, favor, and multiplied return over your life. This is your moment to act in faith, to step into obedience, to align your giving with your breakthrough. Do it now, and watch how what leaves your hand returns to your life transformed, expanded, and blessed.